VCY America presents Crosstalk, a nationwide call-in program discussing issues that have an effect on our families, our communities, our churches, our nation, and our world. Crosstalk, an opportunity for you to voice your concerns for biblical principles. And now live by satellite and around the world on the internet at vcyamerica.org. Here is today's Crosstalk.
Well, thank you, and how are you today? Hope you're having a great day. In our town, it's back to normal temperatures, and we're enjoying it, even some of them a little on the chilly side. So it's great. Today we have an interesting program. We do not have a guest, but we are going to talk about what's been happening in recent hours, literally, since the choice of Mr. Paul Ryan has been made as the runner-up there, I should say, the vice presidential candidate by Mitt Romney. Now, of course, Wisconsin has gone bonkers here. I mean, Wisconsin is, of course, this is a Wisconsin guy. All the cheeseheads are cheering and whatever. Whenever anybody, and I think back to when Sarah Palin was brought in as a vice presidential candidate, and all the mudslinging and the slander and the garbage that was, I mean, the pundits are out there, they're looking for something to jump on. And they are stooping. I mean, I think of this advertisement, and it doesn't matter which party. If it had been done the other way, I'd say the same thing. But claiming that the man who gave his testimony about his wife being killed because of Mr. Romney's choice of closing a factory. Of course, the outrage and the timing and the proof of that thing found it was nothing more than a political attack in one particular direction. Now we're seeing spot announcements that are pretty heavy on both sides of the aisle. I always think about this though when you find that the issue of finding something in their character or attacking their character or their persona. I mean, when I think of somebody being attacked for putting a dog in a container and putting it up on the roof, that was a novel way to carry Fido. But that became a national issue. All the pet lovers out there became outraged because somebody said the dog was mistreated. Well, I happen to know that those big dog kennel things, regardless of the size, they're designed to house a creature. I mean, they're designed to safely keep the creature from running all over the place. I mean, airliners use them. Now, they don't put it out on the wing, I agree. But they do. I mean, I've seen them used in transporting pets or creatures of some kind. But those and other crazy ideas have all surfaced as politician goes after politician on their record, on what they say, how they say it, who they say it about, all of these things. And the issue of the record literally is so minute that a lot of people are hearing who's got the latest attack ad. But what is the thing that the opponents stand for? And, of course, there are those who hear Mr. Obama saying regarding his stand on things, and he's made it very clear, health care and the whole bit. And then you hear Mr. Romney and talk about his issues and how he would handle things. I think a lot of people would like to hear more in detail. I don't think anybody wants to hear voices like the voice of Pelosi saying that, well, vote for the bill, and after we pass it, then you'll see what it's all about. I mean, that's like buying a car, and you don't even know if there's an engine or the hood. And the issue, I mean, some of these arguments go beyond common sense, okay? But it's coming from the lips of people who have high degrees. They're attorneys. They have appealed to their public, their own public, to send them to Washington so they can literally represent us in Washington. Don't forget that word, represent us there. Only to find out that when the people call in from out in the grassroots, the representative, in essence, says, I know better than you know, I'm going to vote the opposite way that you have advocated. Well, it's interesting. But let's talk for a minute here regarding this race now, the vice president being selected. Now, Newsmax has an article here. President Obama called Representative Paul Ryan the ideological leader of the congressional Republicans as he welcomed him to the election campaign. And of course, he sounded very grandiose in what he said. Here's what he said. I congratulate Congressman Ryan. I know him. I welcome him to the race, Obama said to the boos from a crowd of supporters during his first public comment since the Republican nominee, Mitt Romney, named Ryan as his running mate. Now, Congressman Ryan is a decent man, said President Obama. He's a family man. He's an articulate spokesman for Governor Romney's vision, but it's a vision that I fundamentally disagree with. Now, other Democrats came out swinging Sunday. David Axelrod, chief strategist for President Barack Obama's re-election campaign, called Ryan a right-wing ideologue and said that the congressman's selection is aimed squarely at the Tea Party. It is a pick that is meant to thrill the most strident voices in the Republican Party, but it is one that should trouble everyone else, he goes on to say. Well, there's a lot of stuff flying back and forth. Here in the state of Wisconsin, there is a gentleman running for Senate. His television spots are very unique because there are those who have raised issues with him. And, of course, this is what happens in the political races. All of a sudden, there are 40,000 reasons why the opponents are saying you shouldn't vote for the other guy. Now, here in this one ad that is run by one of the candidates for the Senate, there is a white background, and you find that there are somebody's throwing mud, literally globs of mud, landing around the visage of the candidate. And then, of course, in the last moments, then all the mud slides down and the candidate gives his final comments. Well, we've talked about viciousness. We've talked about the issue of positive and negative campaigning. But I think the American people want to know, whoever they're going to be voting for, what it is that they want to do. Why is it now the Democrats, according to the Hill publication, says that the Democrats are gleeful of Ryan's choice, cast him as a radical hardliner, and Mitt Romney's decision to choose Representative Paul Ryan of Wisconsin as his running mate was greeted with almost as much happiness in Democratic as Republican circles on Saturday, though for a diametrically different reason. And it goes on, of course, and talks their strategy, and how they feel that a right-winger in there could be a detriment rather than an asset. Well, there are so many of these clips going around on YouTube. You can listen. But interestingly enough, those who are screaming, somebody said once, if you throw a rock into a pack of dogs, the one that howls is usually the one that got hit. And so when somebody's passing information to the general public and you find somebody howling, it's probably the one that got hit. But here's an interesting thing from lifenews.com. It says the nation's biggest abortion business is practically foaming at the mouth in its anger over Mitt Romney's selection of a pro-life champion, Paul Ryan, a Wisconsin congressman, as his vice presidential running mate. Tell Ryan, no way, no how, not ever. Planned Parenthood blared in its big hot pink headline on its website in response, calling Ryan's pro-life views anti-woman. It's no surprise Mitt Romney has picked a running mate who is just as bad as he is on issues affecting women's health and rights. Planned Parenthood said that as it asked its pro-abortion activists to sign on to a letter bashing Ryan in an attempt to gather more names and addresses of supporters to use to rally against the Romney-Ryan ticket. And so that's what you do. You bash somebody and get other people to bash with you. There are people who may sign their names to things that they don't know beans about. But if they are, well, along the same party line or been persuaded even at a moment's notice to become a party to a particular issue, you'll find they'll be signing on to stuff they've never read, kind of like what Mrs. Pelosi is suggesting. Well, let's go on further. LifeSite News. The pro-life leaders are thrilled with Mitt Romney's choice. And it goes on, it says, America is founded, this is from LifeSite News, it's founded on the essential belief that every person has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Americans United for Life President Charmaine Yost said in an email sent to LifeSite News that Paul Ryan has been an eloquent defender of life. An eloquent defender of life. Now, over 14 years in Washington, Ryan has earned a 100% pro-life voting record with the National Right to Life Committee. He voted to affirm that life begins at conception, to grant the unborn 14th Amendment status, to ban partial birth abortion, to end federal funding of Planned Parenthood, and to bar abortion coverage from federal health care plans. He vowed, I'm never going to not vote for pro-life. I'm never going to not vote for pro-life. Well, interesting comments from LifeSite News. We're going to go a little further here, and there are those networks are painting Mr. Ryan as a spending cutter, and they are saying he could destroy Medicare. Previewing the choice of Paul Ryan as the GOP vice presidential candidate, the ABC, get this now, this is an interesting group of people, or I should say systems. They're bedfellows, in my estimation, but they are saying this. ABC, CBS, and NBC morning shows all use Democratic framing to describe the House GOP budget plan that Ryan championed as a plan to, as CBS Bob Schieffer put it, cut more than $55 trillion over the next 10 years. ABC's Biana, her last name, Golodride, passed along the demographic rhetoric of liberals. Democrats, meantime, contest that it will destroy Medicare and Social Security. Now, Ryan's plan would actually increase federal spending over the next 10 years from about $3.6 trillion this year to just under $4.9 trillion in 2022. That $5 trillion cut in taxes are merely reductions from the much higher spending anticipated by the President Obama's budget. And there are billions being spent by our present administration that are going places that you would never believe. They're your tax dollars. And they're being spent in ways that all it takes is a presidential decree or something that may not even pass Congress, but somehow it's being spent. We're going to talk more about this as we come back, but write this number down because we'll have you join us on the phone today. Our phone number is 800-733-9829. And I'm going to open that line right now, 800-733-9829. And if you want to get online early, you can do so. Maybe you have something you'd like to talk about. What do you think about this new vice presidential candidate that's been chosen? We shall return in a moment. This is Crosstalk.
Back to Genesis with Dr. John Morris, creation author at the Institute for Creation Research. Dr. Morris, who were the Neanderthals?
Chris, according to the Bible, there are people and then there are animals and nothing in between. The evolutionary idea of half ape, half man is biblically wrong. And as a matter of fact, it's scientifically wrong, too. One recent Neanderthal discovery shows just how human they were. The bones of an elderly individual were found, which gives us the evidence that gum disease had caused all of his teeth to fall out long before death. An ape, when it loses its teeth, it starves to death. It has no way to eat. But this individual was cared for by companions, by eating prepared and soft food and living long after he lost his teeth. I think Neanderthals were probably one of the groups of humans that migrated away from Babel. They were just as human as you or me. A primitive culture maybe, but fully human. And that's the way I see it from a Back to Genesis perspective.
For more information, call 1-800-7-GENESIS.
And welcome back to Crosstalk. We're talking about the new selection of vice presidential candidate Paul Ryan from Wisconsin here. And, of course, I'll tell you, the Wisconsinites, a lot of them are pretty chipper over that. The question again, and I'm not here to find fault, I'm just asking the question, where do you stand on this issue? If you feel it was a good choice, why do you feel it's a good choice? What do you think that Mr. Ryan can do in this coming administration? If you don't think it was a good choice, tell us why you don't think it's a good choice. This is an open forum today, and we'll be glad to take your calls. Now, this issue of blaming Mr. Ryan for destroying Medicare, and of course they latch on to anything that will make things look bad, but basically he is talking about increasing the funding for those areas, but cutting other issues from the budget that were placed there by President Obama. A lot of people have asked the question, and this is perhaps a field of our topic today, but when we find that we are sending how many billions of dollars to Egypt, this is a country now that, well, some have said it hates our guts. They think somehow or other that those in Egypt are extremely uncomfortable with the previous relationship with the United States. And so the question, why in the world are we sending them millions of dollars? What about some of this other called foreign aid? Is it really aiding those in foreign countries, or is it simply building a machine that hopefully will achieve what the leaders are trying to make it do? Now, interestingly, President George W. Bush talked about Romney and Ryan and said that they will confront difficult issues. That was his statement. This is a strong pick. Governor Romney is serious about confronting his long-term challenges across America, but Paul Ryan will help him solve the difficult issues that must be addressed for future generations. Now, Ambassador John Bolton from the UN, he says every American and every American ally abroad should be heartened by Romney's decision to have Romney as his running mate. We go further. The ACU, the organization that stands American Conservative Union, today marks the real start of the general election as Mitt Romney hit a home run with his vice president selection. Now, that's what they're saying at the American Conservative Union. Tony Perkins of the Family Research Council said Mitt Romney's selection of Paul Ryan shows that he is serious about getting America's fiscal house in order. Paul Ryan's voting record also suggests that he believes that social, fiscal, and national security conservatism is indivisible. You can't divide it. Paul Ryan's philosophy clearly includes the understanding that the America's financial greatness is tied directly to its moral and cultural wholeness. As a member of the Congressional Prayer Caucus, he's been a defender of religious expression in the public square. Paul Ryan has spoken out strongly against Mr. Obama's abortion, drug, and contraceptive mandates as an affront to religious liberty. He has articulately described how the president's government takeover of health care has pushed aside our First Amendment rights. Well, these are all the positions that have been presented there from Family Research Council and Tony Perkins. Now, the Romney-Ryan ticket, of course, the homosexual organization is there with their statements. They are claiming that the ticket is out of touch with Americans on the LGBT equality. Now, this is what they are saying, that it's out of touch. And the Human Rights Campaign, they're the ones that are saying this, that it was a bad choice. To quote them, Ryan's voting record in Congress and his public remarks make it clear that he does not support the dignity of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender Americans. Paul Ryan does not support LGBT families and has voted against allowing gay and lesbian couples to adopt. He voted against hate crime protections. He opposed repealing Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and he does not support marriage equality. That is coming from the Human Rights Campaign. And I guess the big question, we're going to open the phone lines and let you talk, but Here's some questions, and think carefully and remember them if you would. What is your reaction to Mitt Romney's pick of Congressman Paul Ryan? Is it favorable or is it unfavorable? And the next question, does a selection of Paul Ryan as Mitt Romney's running mate make you more enthusiastic, less enthusiastic, or have no opinion regarding the Romney-Ryan ticket? Thirdly, how do you believe Paul Ryan measures up to his counterpart on the Democratic ticket, Mr. Joe Biden? Give us your comparison between the two. And does Romney's selection of Paul Ryan sway you in any way? Does it change your vote that may occur in November? These are the questions I kind of dumped on you here. We're going to open our phone lines because the rest of the program is for you. And if you'd like to call us from anywhere on the planet, it's toll-free, and we welcome your calls. Right now, let's go to Monroe, Wisconsin, and standing by is Kathy. Kathy, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine. See, I like Paul Ryan. He's a fiscal conservative, and our country has just really been going down the tubes morally, and I really I'm fearful for our nation, and I believe that because of his core beliefs that he will help to bring back the sanity and the common sense in our government, and this idea of throwing grandma off the cliff, that was so criminal, and Obama's already stolen, or taken money out of the Medicare fund. I think it's like $700 billion or something. I mean, so I really like him, and I believe that when he has the debate with Biden, that he'll debate Biden under the table. I mean,
okay. Well, Kathy, thank you for sharing that and talking about grandparents being thrown under the bus. Well, that kind of scares me. I'm a great grandpa. And what happens to grandma, all this stuff is, well, enough said. I guess Mr. Biden has made it kind of clear. We're going to move quickly to Mansfield, Pennsylvania, and talk with Ron. Ron, you're on the air.
Well, it's wonderful. I'm in my barn with my 35 Holsteins, and they all listen.
I thought I heard some. I thought I heard some bovine amening in the background.
Well, but the thing is, I think Paul, as a retired federal agent who did financial audits of major postal facilities like Boston, Hartford, Connecticut, and such, I think Paul Ryan is a wonderful choice because I heard, now this is not verified by me, but when he went on vacation a year or two ago, I heard he took the federal budget so he could review it and contrast that with Pelosi, who said vote on it and then you can read what's in it.
Now, I'll tell you, you've seen a lot of crazy federal stuff going on. And is it any wonder we all wonder if the asylum has been taken over by the inmates?
My point is, Paul Ryan is the right man at the right place. And to contrast him with Biden, let me have a quick aside, if I may. Biden was out in Colorado. Now, we have cattle guards out there when I was in the service. Mm-hmm. They're in the driveway. They're like grates so the cows don't come out. Mm-hmm. And someone told Biden, we've replaced 4,000 cattle guards out here. And he said, well, can't they get unemployment compensation?
What? No, say that again a little clearer. He said what?
I'm sorry. Someone said we replaced 4,000 cattle guards out here in Colorado.
Oh, my.
And he said, aren't they eligible for 99 weeks of unemployment compensation?
He thought they're employees instead of a piece of iron that keeps the cows from coming out the door.
No, Paul Ryan is the right man at the right place. And what he is telling the American people is we need to cut up the plastic credit cards. Like my neighbor who used to go shopping every week at Rockingham Mall in Salem, New Hampshire. And I said, what are you looking for? He said, we're going shopping.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ron from Mansfield. Got to move quickly here because we got people calling like crazy. Our phone number, 800-733-9829. What do you think about this Paul Ryan thing? Plus or minus, pro or con? What do you think about the comparison between Paul Ryan and Mr. Biden? Any of the other questions we asked you? Let's go to Patricia in New Mexico. And Patricia, you're on the air. Hello.
Yes, sir.
You're on the air.
Yes, this is Patricia from Massachusetts, New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
I would just like to say that a few weeks ago I sent Vic a letter with my testimony about having given up a child for adoption when I was 19.
I remember that letter. I remember the letter.
I had to make the choice. It almost cost me twice my life. And I have always been a pro-life voter, and I will continue to be a pro-life voter until I die. And this year, it's even more important for me, as far as my core values go, to vote for the Republican Party because of the fact that the Democratic Party has decided they're going to use gay marriage in their platform. There's 2 strikes against them, and I cannot vote for the Democratic Party, period, no matter what.
Patricia, thank you. From New Mexico, Las Cruces, New Mexico, we move to Mary in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin. Our phone line's 800-733-9829, 800-733-9829. And Mary, go right ahead. You're on the air.
Thank you for for taking my call.
Mm-hmm.
I am so impressed with Paul Ryan. He's pro-life. He's for marriage. He wants to get our budget and our deficit down. I mean, every time I call Washington, I said, we have to stay in a budget. We have to cut. I don't see where there's any cutting. You don't live in your means. We're spending so much. Also, I want to make a comment I heard you say about Egypt and us giving them foreign aid.
Mm-hmm.
I've been calling Congress on both sides of the party, in the House and the Senate. I think it's high time we give up this foreign aid. We need to take care of people here. I'm very concerned with the Middle East, with Israel and Egypt. I'm very concerned with the Muslim Brotherhood, the military in that area. A lot of prayers are going to be needed for the Middle East. But one thing I've been hearing all Sunday since this was on all the cable stations, right away I'm hearing Paul Ryan will take your entitlement. He is going to take Medicare. And I thought, oh, my God, wait a minute. I need to correct this. Paul Ryan made it very clear. Anyone 55 over, you're fine. He's looking out for the new people that will be retiring in the future. He's got a good plan, and I think we should give the respect to listen to it.
Thank you, Mary. Appreciate that from Wauwatosa, Wisconsin. Got to move along right now, and if we can keep our comments to the point briefly, and I know it's hard, but we do want to cover a lot of ground today. So, Tim in Pensacola, Florida. Tim, you're on the air.
Yes, good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Concerning Paul Ryan's record. That's
Tim, I'll tell you, we're coming up on a break. Stay right there, okay? Right. And we will get right back on the phone as soon as we're over the break. It takes about 60 seconds there. Our telephone number is 800-733-9829, and we'll look forward to your calls. This is Crosstalk.
From the frontiers of scientific discovery, researchers are now taking design elements from the natural world and creating extraordinary breakthroughs that benefit our health, our quality of life, our ability to communicate, and even help us work more efficiently. Many of these are documented in the book Discovery of Design. In this book, you'll learn how things like batteries, human organ repair, micro-lenses, and even credit card security all have links to natural designs. You'll learn how innovations like solar panels in space use technology from beech tree leaves, how the study of the leg bone led to the building of the Eiffel Tower, how the study of the timber beetle helped to improve the use of chainsaws. Over 75 such illustrations are given. It's a fantastic journey into the intersection of science and God's blueprints for life. Discovery of Design is available for a donation of $16 or more to VCY America by calling 1-800-729-9829. That's 1-800-729-9829.
And welcome back to Crosstalk, where we're letting you get on the phone here and talk about your feelings about the appointment of vice presidential candidate with Mitt Romney, Paul Ryan from Wisconsin. Of course, Wisconsin is ecstatic over this. All the cheese heads are jumping up and down, and everybody is excited about this. But there are two sides of this issue. We're opening for discussion, whatever you think. And we are talking right now to Tim in Pensacola, Florida, who's been very patient. And, Tim, you are back on the air.
Thank you very much. I'm listening on WPCS here in Pensacola.
Yes.
You were, at the beginning of your program, you talked about the records being lost in the rhetoric. And in Paul Ryan's case, it has been lost a little bit. All of the media portray him as this fiscal conservative, but yet things that haven't come out, he did vote in favor of the TARP bailout. Okay. And also the GM bailout he voted in favor of. Back in the Bush administration, he went along with the No Child Left Behind, as you know, was a big increase in the Department of Education, as well as the Medicare prescription bill was a big one, which goes completely against what we're hearing about, his fiscal conservatism today. So this isn't consistent to me. So I wouldn't get so euphoric about him. I think that there's a lot of things that concern me about him.
Are you in comparing him with Biden? Are you feeling that Mr. Biden is far more qualified than?
No way. I think that, the Democrats are overtly socialist. The problem is, I think we get this choice, and the choice isn't black and white with these guys. You also mentioned the foreign policy, particularly foreign aid. I think that a term that a lot of people might want to study is that we're not just nation building with nations like Egypt and Afghanistan and these nations around Central and Southeast Asia. We are region building. We're region building in Africa. All the sub-regions there are being if you're familiar with the TAPI pipeline that's going to be going through Afghanistan, that goes through nations in South Asia. They call it, Hillary Clinton called it the New Silk Road. And this is consistent. And by the way, there are 10 of these regions in the world. I can name them by name and acronym. And that's a number that people might, particularly who read their Bibles, might want to sit up and take notice of. I'm not saying this is the final alignment of the end times, but it's no less the reality today. And there's the SARC in South Asia. There's ASEAN, Association of Southeast Asian Nations. You're probably familiar. You probably talked about Eurosec, the Eurasian Union of Putin.
I think we're getting far afield, though, of our opinions about the man. I do understand what you're saying, sir, and I think it does require us to go not just to euphoria, but to get to depth. And
absolutely.
I take your comments, and I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. From Pensacola, Florida, we move quickly to, let's see, we have Wisconsin, an anonymous caller. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Hi. I just to give you a definite comparison between Ryan and Biden. I think the comparison is like night and day. Awake those that sleep. If we have I'm very euphoric because it's like we have just a hint of conservatism, which is a strong hint, and I'm all for that. I think this world needs this breath of fresh air. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your call. A hint of conservatism. Yeah, is conservatism a flavor? And I'm not criticizing our caller there, but he's raised an issue. And the question, is conservatism just a flavor or a hint, or do we need to have some strong spines that declare a conservative view? Interestingly enough, let's go to D in Milwaukee. D, you're on the air. Hello, D, you're on the air.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you?
Just fine, thank you. Your point.
Regarding the Romney-Ryan ticket, I'm a little confused because I just heard on the radio on a show last week that Mr. Romney, as governor, supported same-sex union, same-sex marriages, and gay rights. So now he has Romney on the ticket, Ryan on the ticket, and it confuses me. Is he on there to draw the independents and the undecided, or what?
Well, you raise a good question. And thank you very much for raising your question. I don't have the answers, but that's what we're on the air for today, to let you talk. Clyde in Muskegon, Michigan. You are on the air, Clyde. Hello, Clyde.
Yes. Yes, I'd like to make a comment on Paul Ryan. Some of the things I've heard are good, and some of the things I've heard, I don't know if I'd want to jump into that right away. So I think I'll just hang around and wait till I hear a few more things. But I would like to make a comment on the things that's happened in Wisconsin with the teachers. And I don't want to make this. I'm from Michigan, and I'm just kind of viewing this. But
are you a teacher? Are you a teacher?
No,
okay.
No, I'm not.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
No, I'm retired machinist.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say this: if he brings what Wisconsin brought, I'm all for him. I'd vote for him in a minute, because that means that his job is a public job, would be cut on both faces, because the value is no longer there. Okay, well, that's all I got to say. I'm just saying, if he leans that way and he's a man of his word, I'd hate to have to call the guy whatever you call somebody that
untruthful.
Looks like he's good, but yet doesn't want to live it.
Well, watchful waiting and keeping your eyes open, Clyde. Good idea, good advice. Let's go to the state of Oregon and talk with Bob, who's on the road. Hi, Bob. Hello, Bob.
Yeah.
You are on the air.
Oh, good.
We're having a very hard time to pick up, though, so if you can talk very closely to your phone. Bob, I'm sorry, but we have lost you, and unfortunately that happens sometimes with cell phones. Our apologies. Madison, Wisconsin, let's go to Joni. Joni, you're on the air.
Yeah, Joni, I'm not a cheesehead, but I am from Wisconsin.
Yes.
And you asked for plus or not, and my vote is plus. It is a breath of fresh air, and it's not really got to do with the conservatism, whatever that is, but it's with the value system, with his knowledge, his head, and you know where he stands. And I'm looking forward to hearing more about him. It is a breath of fresh air. Hallelujah.
Thank you, Joni, for your comments from Madison. And our phone number, if you'd like to call, get in on the discussion today, do call us quickly. We do have 2 vacant lines right now. If you dial quickly, you'll get in. 800-733-9829. Put that in your speed dial button, 800-733-9829, and you dial us in, and you can be right there. Lines are jammed again. Let's go right now to Lat in, let's see, that would be Racine, Wisconsin. Lat, go ahead.
Yeah, Vic, I'm a little disappointed. You know, I'm normally conservative, but I'm not real happy with Romney as president. But I am happy that Paul Ryan took the VP, and I have met Paul Ryan, and I believe that he is a born-again Christian through his testimony, has told me. And I pray that if Romney becomes president and leader of the United States, and that through Paul Ryan's walk with the Lord, that maybe he'll see that he's been betrayed, and maybe he'll come to the Lord through Paul Ryan. And, you know, that's all we can do is pray for these leaders.
Thank you, Lat. Very interesting and a very meaningful thought there. Milton, Florida. Let's go to Chris. Chris, you're on the air.
Hey, Vic?
Yes.
Hey, this is Chris from Northwest Florida. I was born in Massachusetts.
Yes.
I want to tell you, I just tuned into the program. I think God has a sense of humor. He's picked a Catholic and a Mormon because the evangelicals, of which I am one, have messed up America. And so I call it recuperation and rejoicing. I don't know, R&R. I may write a letter to the editor about that.
Interesting comments. Thank you, Chris. From Milton, Florida, we go to Crestview, Florida, and speak with Gavin. Gavin, you're on the air. Our phone number, 800-733-9829, and got 1 vacant line. Go ahead, Gavin, you're on the air.
Yes, Vic, I enjoy your show, and
yes.
I'm a plus for Mr. Ryan there. I'm thankful for his conservatism and the strong backbone conservatism. We need that in America. And I just hope that Mr. Romney will kind of get his way of seeing things, and he won't just kick Mr. Ryan's views to the curb. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, sir.
I just hope he'll listen to Ryan and take some of his advice as his vice president running mate and make some good decisions for this country and quit spending all that money.
Gavin, thank you from Crestview, Florida. And Florida now is still really coming alive here. Niceville, Florida, talking to Tracy. Tracy, you're on the air.
Yes, sir. I just want to say I appreciate a guy with that kind of morals and everything and standing up to help America again. You know, not so much downfall to help. Please, a guy like that could help us out of the situation that we're in. You know, that's all the comments that I want to make.
Well, I appreciate that, Tracy, and everybody taking just a moment to call is real helpful as we talk about the issues, and I want to thank you for doing so, sir.
Yes, sir.
God bless you, my friend. Let's go to Milwaukee and talk, and we have one vacant line, 800-733-9829. We're going to Anthony in Milwaukee. Anthony, you're on the air.
Thank you for taking my call. I have a question for you, Mr. Vic.
Yes, sir.
With the debates, you know, it seems to me, and it's just me, but I think they're controlled in the sense that the people that are talking or asking questions don't give the hard questions. Like, for example, let's take the EPA, for example. You know, they have these rules and regulations about factories and stuff, and, you know, I'm just, you know, I don't know. I'm just...
Well, Anthony, let me put it this way. Anytime they have debates, I know that they're the people who write the questions. It's usually not one person. It's usually a whole bunch of people crafting the questions and modifying them several times. I know I was involved at a voter values thing down in Florida about a year or so ago, and we talked about the issues. And, of course, I was given the question after it had been chewed and masticated about 5 different times. But I think the questions, again, depend a lot on who is designing them. Sometimes they're used to shape or even shadow a candidate, depending on the askers, whether they are conservative or liberal. But it's without question, there are sometimes questions that are crafted a certain way.
Yeah, well, what gets me, though, most of all is that they're not telling the truth, about the situation that was happening in the United States.
Yeah.
Like I said, with the EPA and a whole bunch of other things, jobs, and myself, I hate them doing all this mudslinging. I just don't like it.
Thank you, Anthony. Appreciate the call from Milwaukee. Your call is greatly appreciated. We'll go right now to Deborah in Wisconsin. Deborah, you're on the air, 800-733-9829. Hi, Deb.
Hi. I just wanted to say Paul Ryan's an excellent pick. It's about time that Romney got it right. I was wavering on voting even for him, but now he's picked Paul Ryan. I know that Medicare will be addressed and will be addressed so that it is there for others.
Thank you so much, Deborah. We're at a break, and we'll be right back with more of your calls. 800-733-9829. This is Crosstalk.
For the Worldview Weekend Minute, I'm Brandon House. Our website's worldviewweekend.com. Recently, New Age Mormon Glenn Beck was assembled with a group of evangelical pastors, Word of Faith, and Catholic priests, in which he declared, quote, America is necessary for his, God's, work to be done, end quote. I read nowhere in the Bible that God needs America. However, Mormon eschatology teaches that the Mormon Church is supposed to be the outpost for the global LDS Church and that Jesus will return to Independence, Missouri and set up his kingdom there in the New Jerusalem. In fact, on August 3rd, 1831, Joseph Smith dedicated a plot of ground in Independence, Missouri, where the temple is to be built just before the return of Jesus Christ. Mormon eschatology teaches that Jesus Christ will sit in the temple and rule his earthly kingdom. Could this eschatology of the Mormon Church be one reason why Glenn Beck, a Mormon, believes God needs America? My friends, I believe God does not need us to mix pagan spirituality with biblical Christianity.
And welcome back to Crosstalk, where the lines are sizzling here. It's really a busy day today with a lot of you calling, which is great. Before we get to the calls, I'm going to mention this. I had an individual call me and said, Vic, I know there's a struggle because when you're thinking about the up-front running presidential candidate and his Mormon affiliations, that is something which is very difficult as born-again Christians to deal with the doctrinal issues. And there are questions one may ask. This person said this: we are electing a president who is there to protect our fiscal and social issues. He said we ought to be more concerned about who we hire as pastor in our church, that the doctrine is preached, because you're not hiring the president to preach your sermons. It was kind of interesting slant on that, because I know the struggle. I've studied many of the cults. I've studied everything from Jehovah's Witness, Mormonism, and a jillion other issues that are out there. But the question again, the issue of whether Paul Ryan's presence now on the ticket makes any difference to whether or not you will vote in a particular way. We're anxious for your comments, and right now we're going to go to Mequon, Wisconsin. And very quickly, because we're really on the speed round now, Jack and Mequon, you're on the air.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I thank you for taking my call.
Yes.
Yes, I'm Jack, and
yeah, your point.
To say I'm black, and I'm proud of it.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot see how no person that say they're a child of God, and I don't care what race they are, and vote for the Democrat Party. And just about all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate the call, Jack. We're going to move quickly to Pensacola, Florida, and Michael, you're on the air, Michael.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
I just want to make this point clear. I believe in voting, and I will vote. And I haven't in mind who I'm going to vote for as of yet. But the thing is this. I'm going to tell you, people, do not put their hope in government. Government will always fail you. It's full of corruption.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what nation you're in, it's always been. And the one of the things that really disgusts me about our government is that we have people who run for president, senators, majority leaders, all that stuff, and they get paid for life.
Yeah.
Paid for life.
Yeah.
And we have soldiers on the war get paid less, and you're on Social Security, even less than that.
You know,
that's a disgrace.
Michael, you know, somebody told me the other day, wouldn't it be good if all of our congressmen, all of our senators were limited to a 2-year term, 2 years, and that they would live in barracks or low-income housing, and that they would be given a annual pass to use the subway to travel in Washington, and that they would be compelled to have the same insurance program that we do, and when they retire from the government, that they go back to working again, like many of our founding fathers did years ago. And I wonder how many people would be running for Congress if that were the case.
That's my problem. It's a moneymaker, and that's what disgusts me about it.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate the call. Baker, Florida. Walker, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah, Vic, I think that Ryan is just the lesser of four evils out of the men running for president and vice president. And at this point, I would vote for Minnie Mouse with Romney. It's a shame but we got to get that one out of there that's in there now. That's important. I don't trust him with my children's future. That's all I got to say. And we're fed up in Florida, brother.
Okay, Walker, voting for Minnie Mouse. That was an interesting one. Well, a little levity keeps us from crying, okay? Let's go to Phyllis in Olney, Illinois. And Phyllis, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes, I just want to say that God's decently in order. He does things that way, and I think he's put some of these things in place now. The Democratic Party a day or two ago decided what they were going to put on their platform with the homosexuals.
Yep.
Now God's given us this, that Romney has chosen somebody that could run with him in the right direction. He's given us a good choice to make. God's never late, and he's very seldom early, so I think he's done this in good timing, and I would vote yes for them because they are conservative and they have good morals, and there's no comparison to the vice president that we have at this point.
Phyllis, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Just time for one more call. Tri-Cities, Washington, and Sandra, you're the last one. You got about half a minute.
Yes, I'm very sad about it all because even though Paul Ryan does have some good things about him, he's still picked by Romney. And the globalist elite have Romney and Obama. They're their men. And they're not naive. They've got both bases covered, and no matter who you pick between those two, it's going to be one of their men that's going to help further their agenda. And
Sandra, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Are you going to vote in the election?
I was going to, but now with these two, and they're both globalist elite, I'm having a really hard time.
Well, all I'm going to say is this, and all of us need to know this. If we do not vote, we are in essence casting one vote for either party.
What I'm saying is they're both the same.
I understand there are issues here, but if you cannot find a definition or a reason to vote one side or the other, when you don't vote, you're actually casting a vote for both parties. So I just share that with you, Sandra. I'm not here to tell you how to vote, not at all. But I think it's something we need to keep in mind. And thank you so much for the call from Tri-Cities, Washington. Let's go to Matt in Wisconsin, who's got 30 seconds. Matt, go. Hello.
Hey, like someone just called in saying that they're wavering on voting for Romney, but now that Ryan's in there, apparently because he's Christian, now she's going to vote for sure for Romney.
I don't think she said Christian. She said that he had some positions that she favored.
Okay, gotcha. Well, there's been a lot of people that called in there that just were debating even voting for Romney because he's Mormon. And my only point is that Mormons, from what they told me in person, is they follow the Bible, but they also follow the Book of Mormon and their monthly magazine. So
well, let me just say this, my friend, and Matt, have you ever read the Book of Mormon? Matt, take a breath, okay? Have you ever read the Book of Mormon?
Oh, no, but I'm just...
Okay, I would suggest that you do, and there's no way that you can go both ways at the same time. It's kind of like having roller skates and one foot going one way and one go the other way, and you have to make a decision based on truth, and that truth, of course, is revealed in God's Word. Thanks for joining us today. It's been really a vigorous discussion, and Matt, thank you for calling that last 30 seconds. You have been with us on Crosstalk today. Invite a friend to join us tomorrow. Another interesting program. We'll be back with you then, and I want to thank you for joining us today. Have a great day.
Listening to Crosstalk via satellite and the internet from VCY America. Views expressed may or may not be those of this station. For a CD of today's program, send a donation of $6 or more to VCY Tape Ministry, 3434 West Kilbourne Avenue, Milwaukee, Wisconsin 53208, or download by RSS or podcast from crosstalkamerica.com. And join us again for Crosstalk.